Hello everyone, it's Rory here from Pratts. I am here late at night to have a crack at a PlayStation Portal that we've got in for repair. So this PlayStation Portal has come in with a damaged charging port. It's physically damaged, you can see that it's the state. And I have searched high and low. I've only found, I think, one video of a teardown, which looks horrendous. And I found one picture of the charging port flex. And from that, I have hunted and believe I have found a matching port. Only time will tell, so I'll only know, obviously, when I do this. So I thought I'd video it because I don't think there's enough information about these out there, and I just wanted to see if it's something that we could do. So we're going to crack on. We're going to try and fix this. Fingers crossed it all works. After the repair, we'll soon find out if we can take it apart and put it back together and keep it working, or make it better than it was. Let's see where we go. Hello everyone, it's Rory from Pratts. I've never done one of these, so I thought I'll do a rundown on a PlayStation Portal. This one is in for charging port, which looks real nasty. So I've had a little look into this. I could not find a port anywhere. Literally impossible to find. So I did a lot of digging. I found one image on the internet of the charging port flex on this. And from there, I don't know for sure, but I think I have found replacement charging port. So I believe, to get into this, I can heat up the edge and go around with some thin plastic, I think. And now I need to go in from the front. So let's just normally we use a heat mat here, but see, this isn't going to go flat on a heat mat, so got to go back to the old school. I haven't had to heat something like this for a very long time. Feels quite nice and warm. Let's go in with some plastic card. That's going under the screen protector. Let's go in here where I can actually definitely get under the screen. I'm not going to go in very far. Okay, going through quite easy, I think. Hopefully you guys can see this. That's going through actually like butter, which is nice. That's just a bit of plastic card we have left over from Apple battery replacements. Let's have a look at that. That is coming off really, really nicely. I can actually see that getting in there now, look. Just gonna give it a bit of a gentle pull just to see if I can release any more adhesive. Don't know where the flex is on this. I think I'm gonna start working on the bottom now. obviously when you're using a heat gun, you never want to stay in the same place for very long. Obviously you can damage the screen if you stay in the same place for too long. So if you are copying this, do be careful with a heat gun. Look at that. I'm really pleasantly surprised. So this is the first time I'm ever not actually just repairing one of these, but I've never actually seen a PS Portal. Yeah, not properly. Not much of a gamer anymore. Okay. I wonder if these thumbsticks are supposed to come off before the screen, or if the screen has a... I imagine the screen's going to have a cut out. I guess now. Also, this one's got a rattle in it, so maybe I'll have to find out what that is. So now, I'm just going to pull up on top and try and loosen that middle bit. I can't get anything in there. Hopefully. See if I can get I think maybe this needs to go first. See a screw there. Can I just pop these off? I need to. So maybe these white plastics need to come off first before we can remove the screen. These are going to pop the same way. Oh yeah, just like a controller. And same, we got a screw here and a screw here. And hopefully I can pop the front off here. Maybe. Maybe not. That's definitely going over the screen though, so that thumbstick's got to come out. So the back's definitely going to come off easier. Maybe there's going to be a hidden okay. I wonder what else is holding that in then. That screw is holding the front panel in, and that screw is also holding that front panel in. Any others? Feels like there wants to be one under here. Maybe it's just a bit of gentle persuasion. It definitely feels like there's a screw here somewhere. Oh, there you go. Make sure those buttons don't fall out. And let's have a look. Can we take this off? Beautiful. Oh, look. This as well. My goodness, this is quite a minefield here. Jeez. All of that over the top of the screen. That is quite something. Same the other side, I guess. That one's already come out. Ah, but that's what that rattle was. There you go. It's a lot just to get into this thing. Look at this. Just to get into the screen. This, I'm bending this back just so I can get to this metal plate under the flex and push it up from there instead of damaging the flex. Wow, now I can finish taking that screen off. But actually, if I had done all that first, this might get away with going on the heat mat. One side off. Another side off. There's the flex. Still looking good. That is like a clip holding the screen in by the looks of it. Yes. And then the screen can be disconnected. This is quite something, a lot more work than I thought. Now, let's see how we get to the charging port. And actually, I don't think I needed to take that screw out, so I'm going to put it back in, because it's one less thing to remember where it goes. Just want to get this plastic plate out and down to the motherboard and see where I go from there. If the port's hopefully not behind the battery. There is a lot to this. Actually, it's quite surprising to see what's inside. It's just like a PlayStation controller on steroids, really. I am going to have to take the speaker out to get that board out. Before I do anything though, I'll disconnect that battery. That just popped out. Guess this side will do the same. There you go. Now that I want to do all of those and take that board out, see if the port is right that I've ordered. There is so much to this. More screws. And hopefully that then just lifts out. Oh yeah. Minus speaker wires, but let's just move out of the way. Charging port is under the battery, under there. How do we get to that? Looks like it's molded into the plastic. I guess it's going to be battery out. Looks like we've got some pull tabs for the battery. See if these are any good, these pull tabs. Tearing already. Try and keep them together. Nope. This one. That one wasn't bad. Is that more pull tabs this side? Get a bit of ISO down here. Just loosen that adhesive so we can get it out. Hopefully this battery will now just pull away nice and easy because there's a bit of ISO in there. Can hear it. Okay. Looks like we can get to it. I'm glad I've gutted if after all that effort we couldn't actually get to the port. There you go. Look at that now. We get to find out if what we've ordered is the right ports. Spot on. Right. Now I'm going to have to solder this and I'll be back on this video shortly. Right, I'm going to see if I can video soldering of the port. So these we cannot get. The flex, I could not find it anywhere. I have sourced ports and I'll put a link to where you can get these because I couldn't find them anywhere. So I'll put a link to where you can find these. So I'm going to try and video this from more than one angle and we'll just see how it goes. Let's get it off. We want some flux. looks like all the solder is on the top on this. Got some flux over there. I'm going to add some low melt solder because I do not want to damage this flex. So that's some low melt on the pins. And then some low melt here on the anchor points. I'm going to do just quickly get a bit of tape to tape this in place so it doesn't move around while I'm soldering it. Okay, hopefully that also keeps it in place for the video. Right, so now we get some hot air. I need to remove this port. Again, I don't want too much heat because of the flex. That's just popped straight off there. Like that. Now the new port, I'm going to put a little bit of solder on the legs so it solders on nicely. Let's do that again. Just going to go a little bit of flux over those pins. I'm not going to do it on the legs, but put some flux on there anyway. Then I'm going to get my itty bitty soldering iron. Just with a little bit of solder on. I just want to touch the legs. And that's just clumped on a load of them, which obviously you don't want, but with the flux we'll spread that around. We'll clean up the legs so they're not all bridging. Just clean myself. That did not go quite as planned, but I have tinned the legs. It does mean it's going to solder on to the flex nice and easy now. Move that to one side. I want to remove all of the solder here. So I've got my solder wick. Remove all the solder from the edge pads. But it doesn't matter if I keep the solder on the pins here because I'm about to solder the new port on there. Clean it up. And then I'm going to put a little bit of fresh solder on there. I'm going to use a little bit of heat to get this on. So some fresh flux. And then just teeny bit of solder on these pads. As even as you can. And a little bit of solder on the grounding pads too. I just go kind of round the holes, but try not to get it in the holes, then I can line that new pull up quite well. A little bit on these pads. Thankfully that'll be perfect. So I'm just positioning it so I can actually drop the port on there and not have it uneven. Now I'll be able to drop it on there, look when it's hot, quite nicely I think. Oh, now I'll take the hot air again. Make sure it's all hot. And then we drop the port in. Hopefully, we're going to line up perfectly with the holes. That is looking really good. I'm just going to get a bit more heat so that flex doesn't seem quite liking it. So what I'll do now, I'm just going to touch up the pads, touch up the pins, and then I'll make sure it's soldered properly onto the flex there. A bit more flux, just to make sure it's going to get a good flow. Okay, so get a slightly better angle for it. There you go, they are making very good connections there. I just need to get a bit more solder on a couple of those pins. Just to make sure we've got a really good connection, look. That is looking spot on. And then I'm just going to take my bigger iron and just make sure a really good connection here. I think we need some more solder on these legs. That is looking wicked. Now good clean. I'm just going to zoom in, the camera's going to go out of focus. Just make sure all those connections are spot on, they are. That's all looking good underneath too. That is spot on. There you go, that's looking good. Perfect. So, I'm going to go back to normal camera. Right, so we now have our port all soldered on, sorted. Looks wicked, I'm so glad. That went good. Now I've got to get it back in. So he went there, quite nicely. Actually, look, I didn't even have to take out the board in this. So I'm just going to slot him back in, make sure he goes back in where he's supposed to. And we've got to get this plastic bit back in. I think went like that. It just kind of clicks in. Perfect. These 4 screws back. Awesome. I'm going to put the board back now. I know that's not the order I took it all out, but I'm going to reroute this antenna cable down here. Make sure all these cables are out of the way. I think actually we could have done this without unplugging the board. Would have saved a bit of time. Make sure we've got all the antennas, all the flexes, and I'll put the board screws back in. No, that was one. This was one. Oh, that's one. I've put that one in the wrong place, haven't I? That one went here. And then the other one, I'll have a look. Where did the other one go? One of these. Where'd the other? I can't see where the other screw went. Maybe it was that one. I'll soon find out. It looks like they all go through. So start plugging in antennas again. Move that cable down there, out of the way. Oh wait, no, he routes in that plastic actually. Not out of the way. But in there. Plug in our charging port. I'm going through and plug in all the other cables. Sorry if any of this comes off camera. I am gonna, to be honest, rush putting it back together a bit. Because it's very late here. I've come in an evening to play catch up. And I thought, while it's quiet and I have the opportunity, I will record it. And also, I really wanted to record this one because I can't find a charging port anywhere for this. I've had to search high and low. Like I say, I only found one place that had it. And even that was a real push. It wasn't listed as one, but I will be letting them know so they can advertise it as it. So that's that. Next was the speakers. I'm going to do the speakers before I do the battery. I am also a firm believer of putting things back as original as possible, so what I am going to do is put new pull tabs under here. Where do I put the battery? Can I put the battery in and then... Yeah, I can. Cool. So it's all going to go back in, and then I'm going to lift this up and put the tape in. Just because I feel like I'm on a roll. It's a bigger screw. Ah, it should have gone there, look. That other board one. It doesn't quite go through that hole. A slightly thicker screw, which I think goes in this one. Yep. Well, I think before I go any further past this, I'm actually going to plug that in and check that it is working. It's taking a charge now. Before I go too far. I have some iPhone 7 battery adhesive, which would be perfect for this. But before I do that, I'm stealing this charger and we're plugging it in to test. Give me something good. Getting something, which is better than we were getting. We'll have to plug the screen in to see if that's any good. So these I'm going to stick here. Here, flip them over, we only want it to about there, because there's a flex which we obviously don't want to stick over, and then we'll do the same here, to about there. Look, and then we'll do the same this side. We want to stick him about there. Him about there. Flip him over. Flatten that back out a bit and bring this one to about there. And this one the same. To about there. And that's battery pull tabs. All good. Push that adhesive down so it's all stuck well, and hopefully then when I pull this off it won't all come with it. Sorted. Now, obviously, I'm going to have to replace the adhesive here. And on the back of the screen, so I'll get a quick plastic razor blade. And just try and get this adhesive off. This has got to be the least fun part for sure. Okay. And then I am going to have to do the same on this side. The housing, I'm going to have to scrape off all the old adhesive, make sure it's nice and clean for the new stuff. I'm going to replace it with Tessa tape, which is the same tape we use on iPads. Try and keep it as close to the original as we can. Okay, I'll get some Tessa. Right, this stuff might be a bit too thick. I don't think so, I think it'll be alright. So I'm just going to run this Tessa around the edge now, making sure it keeps in where it needs to be. I can't put it there because there's a sensor there for something. Okay, that's the Tessa. I'll just push it all down, make sure it's going to make a good bond. cut off any of that excess on those corners. Plug this screen in. Which way around did it go? That way. So that goes there. Oh, running away from me. And then he went on like that. You know what, I'm confident in this, so I'm going to peel this tester now, stick that screen down. In a way, the screen is kind of also held in by the thumbsticks, so you've got a little bit of added protection, but I would definitely replace this tape because it was a foam tape and they always just fall apart and they lose their stick then, and I think if you're not replacing the tape, you're probably going to have issues with this screen in the future. So I think make sure if you're taking the screen off, replace that tape. Tessa 3M, anything like that. Lovely. Next we've got our metal brackets. Stick these flex on, same this side. Metal bracket, stick that flex down. And there was 2 screws in here. Oh, which ones? This one. And this one. Again, this one. And this one. And then we got our thumbstick. Same on this side. There you go, and they had the little black screws. Oh, I might have put those big screws in the wrong place. Let me just check. No, we're good. And then we got the 2 black screws on this one. And then we got the covers. Oh, not yet. Look at that. Next, we've got our covers to clip back in. And then screws for them. Lovely. Before I go on too much further, let's plug them in. 5 volt, 0.3 amp. I would expect it probably to be pulling more than that, but let's have a look. Do we get anything? The battery's probably really flat. We've got probably, oh there, that's looking a bit more like it. 5 volts, 1.5 amp. The power button here. Whoa, we have got, it says 0% charge, but it's showing it's charging. I'm gonna leave that plugged in whilst we start reassembling the rest. Okay, a few screws left. These are the ones that are just like the PlayStation controller. It's clearly taking a good charge. So you got up to 1%, and see if we can get him to turn on. Always a good start. Oh, I'm getting a bit more now. I'm going to take my little testing start off and just plug it directly in. And look, he knows he's charging. Last bits are these. Just got to kind of push. There you go. Push the clips in. Again, here, just kind of get them on at a bit of an angle. And just push these clips in. So that's got to get under there. There's this little clip here that's got to go in. Go on, you little clip. Much better. Okay, this side, there you go. Let's have a look. 1%, will you turn on at 1%? Look at that. What a beautiful repair. Quite intensive for such a cheap console, to be honest, but we've done the job and it is fixed. That's what we like to see. Beautiful. Look at that. I've never seen one of those. I will put a link to the charging ports and away we go. Turn it off, let it charge up for the customer. Right, well, that went much better than I was expecting, to be honest. I was really dreading that port wasn't going to be the right one, or that something would go wrong in the disassembly. But no, that's gone really, really well. It's nice to know that those thumbsticks and all the casing has to come off first. So remember that if you're going to do this repair, or going to repair one of these at all, make sure that you take the housing all off first, because it would have been much easier to do that and then do the screen in one go. I think that would have shaved quite a bit of time. But overall, not that bad. A lot of screws. And actually, if I was doing the charging port again, I would not touch the motherboard side of things. So yeah, I've learned a lot, and that went a lot better than I thought. So that's it. Rory from Pratts Pods. doing PS Portal repairs so you guys don't have to take the risk, I guess. Let me know if you learned anything from it, or if you thought it was any good, or even let me know if you think the video's terrible. I don't think it was great, but hey, it's better than no video, right?